Hey guys, what's going on? I just wanted to take some time to make a video discussing 2014 and the year in gaming. By far, one of the strangest years that I've remembered as far as gaming's concerned. Because, start with the obvious stuff first. A lot of broken ass games came out, especially towards the end of the year. Microsoft had problems with the Master Chief Collection not working, and the multiplayer didn't work. They had all kinds of connection issues and matchmaking issues and things of that nature. Assassin's Creed Unity, there was a ton of issues there with like everything. The fucking game was a broken mess when it was released, and they're on, I think, their fourth stability patch now. And as much as I want to play it, all that stuff there just makes me leery. It's just I don't know. That's something I don't know if I want to touch it with the issues that they're having until I know for certain that it's going to work. And those are probably the two biggest examples I can think of off the top of my head. Also, a lot of games that at least I was hyped up for, and I'm sure other people were hyped up for them too, that kind of plunked. The game, looking back at the list of games that I played that came out in 2014, the first one that really stands out to me was Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. I really, if you follow my channel, I've talked before and I've mentioned before, Castlevania is one of my favorite franchises. And I played Lords of Shadow and I loved that game. There was kind of that return to that, like, kind of gothic look that they had in those 2D games, but it had a lot more variety to the environments because, you started the game in the village with the wolves, then you were in the forest, then you went to the castle, and then you were in the land of the dead. So you had all these different environments, and the combat was just really, really solid. The story was pretty good, but it just had what really sold the story, whether you think it was good or bad, was the talent that they had attached to it. You had people like Robert Carlyle, Patrick Stewart. Uh, God, I can't think of the rest off the top of my head. It's been a while, but I mean those two right there. Jason Isaacs was Satan. Those three people have a very, they don't phone it in. They stick to a level of quality that you don't get from most people, no matter what they're in. But Lords of Shadow 2 had a lot of promise, and they already had a very solid foundation to build upon. And I don't know what happened during development, but somewhere along the line, they stumbled. Because if you would have flipped the games and had, like, let's say Lords of Shadow 2 came out first, you would have had a good foundation with some cracks in it. Whereas if the first game was the second game, it would have been a clear improvement over it. Because it seems like with the second game, somewhere they made mistakes that they shouldn't have made. And I don't get that. It's not a terrible game, but given the pedigree of what came before it, it just, they fumbled the ball somewhere, and that was a real shame because they had a lot of potential going for them. Now, I haven't played the DLC where you play as Alucard yet, so I don't know how that turned out. And I liked the game enough, but there was just, I don't know, like the whole stealth stuff was just really, I mean, you're playing as Dracula, the most powerful evil element on the planet, until Satan gets, well, yeah, actually, technically, he's more powerful than Satan because he whooped his ass as a mortal. But it just you at no point did I play in the game did I feel like he was this uber badass when you're sneaking around as a rat, you know, and doing shit like that. I commend them for trying something different, but at some point during development, they should have realized some of the decisions they were making was kind of stupid. Another game that I was really hyped up for was Borderlands the pre-sequel. And it pains me to say this, but the story is probably the best story out of the three games that have come out. The three Borderlands proper games. I haven't played Tales from the Borderlands yet. It's probably outside of a few items that were broken when the game came out. It's probably the most balanced out of the gate out of the three games. But they did some design decisions that I just again don't understand. I don't get the whole thing about the non-respawning bosses and some of the other stuff. And the Holodome was not a great DLC. Your mileage may vary on it, but I didn't think it held up to the slaughter domes that they had in like Borderlands 2 or even the Underdome in the first game. And what makes the situation even more disappointing is the way the development team, or at least Randy Pitchford, is handling the situation when people ask him questions on Twitter. He gets defensive and accuses people of being trolls and attacking them and stuff like that. And it's not how you should be handling that situation. There's nothing wrong with engaging your consumer base and your fans and having civil discussion. And I'm sure the dude gets trolled and gets some nasty messages, but some of the ones that I've seen at least where he is getting shitty with people, the people that were asking the questions were being civil. But and I've defended Pitchford in the past, but these last few weeks, what I've seen on Twitter, I uh, I can't really come to his defense on this one. So it was I was pretty disappointed with the way, and I've continued to be disappointed with how the pre-sequel turned out and how the situation is being handled, and to the point where I actually haven't really been playing the game. I played the DLC just to see what it was like, but as of right now, I have no desire to go through Ultimate Vault Hunter mode or any of that stuff right now. And hopefully, the story DLC uh, really gives it some life. Another thing you saw a lot of this year, which kind of started becoming popular on the last gen consoles, but you saw a lot of remasters and HD remixes and stuff like that. You know, you had Halo the Master Chief collection on the Xbox One, uh, the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, The Last of Us remastered, Final Fantasy X and X-2 remastered came out on PlayStation 3, and Square Enix announced that it will be coming to the PlayStation 4, which Final Fantasy X is probably my favorite of the 3D games, like the non-traditional games that started after 6. I guess you could call them that. And I'd really like to see it if they're going to do some HD remasters. I'd really like to see an HD remaster of 12. I really like 12. But 10, outside of a couple scenes, had pretty decent characters, and the story was kind of yeah for Final Fantasy, but it was the overall package that came together was quite well done, and it was the first time that the ending of a video game punched me right in the gut. So I will say that. And playing the remaster was it kind of brought me back to that first time I played 10. 10-2, I haven't played the remaster yet because that's 10-2. I don't hate that game, but it's just, I don't know, something about it. If you've played 10-2, you know what I'm saying. Also, there was Assassin's Creed Liberation HD for the consoles and PC. There was one more. I think handheld game that got a HD. No, it wasn't a handheld game. It was Resident Evil 4 got an HD remake. I think it came out on PC. It was out on consoles last year, I believe. Could be wrong. Might be fuzzy on that date. But there's good ways and bad ways of doing these HD remasters. Um, the Last of Us remastered is a very good example of how to do it good. They increased the frame rate to 60 frames per second. They upped the res. They, you know, upped the textures and everything like that. So I mean, I almost feel like that was a game that should have been like a flagship launch title for the PlayStation 4, and maybe not so much a last hurrah on the PlayStation 3. But at the same time, I can see how it'd be kind of risky putting an unknown title up for launch on a new console. But I think it would have been ballsy on Sony's part. But seeing as how the company as a whole, where their financial situation is, I could see why they played it safe. But I'm kind of glad I didn't play The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 because playing it on the PlayStation 4, I probably wouldn't have if I'd played it last generation. But I can say without a shadow of a doubt, it is one of the best games I've ever played. And if you have a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4, you owe it to yourself to play it. They just, it comes together, everything falls into place just right. And Naughty Dog has a very good history behind them, but the story is incredible, for lack of a better term. Now, I will say the first hour or so, if you're like an emotional wreck for whatever reason, maybe you should skip The Last of Us for a while. Being a father, the first 20 minutes just really fucking kicked me in the nuts and punched me in the stomach and ripped my heart out because that's something that no parent ever wants to imagine going through, and seeing it, whether it be in virtual or movie form or in real life, just seeing things like losing a child is it just really hits home because, like I said, I mean that's every parent's greatest fear. But all in all, that is a game I highly recommend that should be experienced. Now, some other games that came out this year that I got to play that I liked was Daylight. It wasn't the greatest game I ever played. It had some issues, but I thought it was a neat concept. If they make a sequel and expand upon it, maybe explain the ending a little bit more. Uh, it's got some potentially decent lore if they flesh it out some more. And I just thought the mechanics of it were kind of neat. Now, mind you, I haven't played Outlast yet, so I don't know if they like ripped off anything there or not. But um, these survival horror games where you're helpless is kind of making a resurgence. And while you weren't completely helpless in Daylight, it was kind of a it wasn't that you were like a complete badass either. Now, the one game that I think really did the survival horror thing right, and this is debatable, but was Alien Isolation. And that game, as far as Alien games go, hit just about every check mark that I wanted to see in an Alien game. It was the story was well done. The game was, I don't want to say it was a technical marvel, but it looked good and it played good. Now I don't know how it played on consoles, but it ran damn well on my PC. But it also, you had the cards stacked against you. Everything could kill you quite quickly, and even the alien, it was a one-hit guaranteed kill. If the alien caught you, there was no surviving the alien. Now you could scare him off with your torch or with your flamethrower, but that would just piss him off, and he'd come back even more hardcore later on. Uh, let's see. Played a couple indie games. Most of them were from previous years. The only indie game I remember playing this year that came out this year was Octodad. and that was fun. It was quirky. It was different. It was if you don't know what Octodad is he's an octopus that he's masquerading as a human, and he's got a wife, and somehow he's got children, but they don't really elaborate on how he has children. Maybe I don't want to know. I'm not sure, but I mean, it's a quirky little thing. The physics work against you, and that's the whole challenge with the game. Is you got to try to make sure that you don't uh, tip people off that you're an octopus. Except there is one guy that knows you are, and he's after you throughout the game. But I mean, it was kind of neat. It's not something I could probably spend hours on, but I thought it was cool. Uh, I mean, for if you can get it cheap, I think it's out on the PlayStation 4 too. If you can get it cheap, it's worth giving it a shot. I don't know if I'd pay like $15 for it or something like that, but if you could get it for like 5 or 10, it's worth trying out. Or if they make it like a PlayStation Plus free game for the month or something, give it a shot. It's fun. There's some parts that are kind of infuriating, but for the most part, I had fun, and it was quirky and uh, kind of charming in a way. But all in all, it was pretty. I've never played anything like it. I missed I think the first Octodad was a Flash game or something like that. So I missed the first one and didn't get to play it. Actually, I'd never even heard of it until I seen Deadliest Catch. But it's worth a shot if you've never played anything like that or you never played any of the other ones. And then I finally got into Diablo this year, and like 2 weeks before Reaper of Souls came out. So I guess that counts as a 2014 release. And I don't think there's really anything that needs to be said about Diablo because I missed, obviously not playing it till now. I missed all the bullshit that went on when the game first launched, and I can say other than some connection issues, which everybody has, I had a pretty solid experience. I've actually been contemplating getting it for the PS4, the Ultimate Evil Edition. But all in all, I liked it. I spent a lot of time on it. I finally took a break from it. I haven't played it in a few months. I might boot it back up, but mainly because my time has been taken up with Destiny lately. That game has just sucked me in, and as much as the end game kind of pisses me off a little bit because it boils down to just blind shitty luck. They tease me enough, like these loot games tease me enough that it's like, well, maybe 10 more minutes and the next thing I kill will give me a legendary or whatever I need. So that game has sucked me in that way. But the gameplay is solid. I mean, you know what to expect from Bungie when it comes to gunplay if you've played Halo or Marathon or any of their previous games. And the gameplay is solid. The one major strike against it is the lack of story. For as much as they touted the story before release, the fact that it was pretty much non-existent is kind of bullshit and has pissed a lot of people off. But I mean, as far as the gameplay and the loot and all that goes, that's solid enough to keep me going and to keep me playing. Would I like to know more about the story without having to go online and reading the uh, grimoire cards that you collect? Yeah, I would have liked to have seen more story in the game, but still, it is what it is, and what it is fucking awesome because, like I said, just the stuff that is done right just kicks major ass. Some other games I played like Lightning Returns because I am well aware of the criticisms of Final Fantasy 13, and I understand this criticism, but the combat system in that game I really enjoyed, and it's not for everybody, but I liked it. So having uh, and I liked Lightning as a character. Plus, I like Ali Hillis as a voice actress. But the combat alone was what drew me to Lightning Returns because by now the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, the story's so fucking nonsensical anymore. I, I don't even care. Like it's just that fucking bad now. So I didn't really pick it up to see the continuation of the story. I was more concerned with just decent combat. And as I've said in the past, I can deal with good gameplay if the story sucks. I can deal with it if the gameplay is really good. and vice versa. And me personally, I like the gameplay and the combat in the 13 trilogy. Like I said, it's not for everybody, and I understand that, but I like it. I enjoy it. Nintendo had a pretty good year. Um, didn't make me feel too bad about my Wii U purchase. My son is a huge Mario Kart fan, so I had to get Mario Kart 8, and we've had a lot of fun playing that. In fact, maybe I'll throw some videos up of that. I don't know. But Mario Kart is a that's another franchise that I've been with forever. Playing the first one with my cousin on the Super Nintendo, and now playing it with my son on the Wii U, or even we played it on the Wii. But I think it's the best one since Double Dash, and I don't have any of the DLC, but I think if him and I start playing it some more, I might pick some of the DLC up. I got him. He likes Legos and he likes superheroes and things like that. So I also got him. I got him Lego Marvel Heroes and Lego the movie, the game for Christmas, and we played a little bit of Lego Marvel Heroes on Christmas over the weekend because we had our Christmas early because I work Christmas Day. And Lego Marvel Heroes was pretty fun. I enjoy the Lego games. They're just a little bit of it's nice. Not every game you play has to be like uber serious and uh, grounded in reality. So it's nice to play these neat little quirky, goofy games like with Octodad or the Lego games. And plus, it kind of takes the Lego games that we play together, are like the DC, well, the Batman ones and the Lego Marvel Heroes now, and then the Star Wars one. So it kind of gives us a bridge to bond over because I'm a Star Wars fan, and I mean, my son likes Batman and Spider-Man and all that stuff, but like I catch the little nods to the history of the franchises, and he's just like, I'm playing little Lego guys. So it's kind of cool when it's too cold out or it's raining or something, and we just sit down and play one of those. Uh, but back to the Nintendo front, there was I already mentioned Mario Kart 8. Then there was Hyrule Warriors, which was a nerdgasm for me. The Zelda franchise is without a doubt my favorite franchise of all time. I tend to get a little fanboyish about it, and having all these different characters and just being able to run around and have this Dynasty Warriors combat, which I never played Dynasty Warriors, so that was kind of new to me. But the game was fun. I mean, the story was kind of stupid. It basically boiled down to the antagonist being jealous, but being able to run around with Link and Zelda and Ganon and all these other different characters like Princess Ruto and Midna and Fee and let's see, you could use Zant and Girahim. Then they had a couple original characters with Sia and Volja and Wizrobe and all that. It was just mindless fun. But I highly recommend if you have a Wii U and you decide to get Hyrule Warriors, it is a good game, but play it in small doses. I would do maybe 20 minutes at a time a day, and I enjoyed it through the entire campaign. But if I sat down and like, I don't think I could sit down and play the game for an hour or 2 hours straight like I do with, say, like Destiny or um, how I used to play Borderlands. Because it's just one of those games that you got kind of got to break it up into chunks. And even Alien Isolation was kind of like that because that game, like those survival horror games, they don't really scare me. It's just that you're tense all the time, and it's like my heart's gonna explode. I mean, actually, ironically, Alien Isolation was the first game that kept me on edge the whole time since the first Dead Space. First Dead Space was phenomenal. I should do a playthrough series on that. But they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with the second two, making it a little bit more action oriented. But that first Dead Space game was tense as fuck, especially the first time you played it because you weren't sure what to expect. But I mean, it had a lot of alien vibe to it. And the other major Nintendo, I keep getting off topic. The other major Nintendo release I played this year was Bayonetta 2, and I was a huge fan of Bayonetta. coming off of Devil May Cry and everything like that, having uh, basically, I think just about everybody that was involved in the first Devil May Cry was involved in Bayonetta, the first Bayonetta. But I mean, so it had a pedigree to it, you know. And the first Bayonetta, well, I'm still not like I understood the story as much as it lets you understand it, but it was still like a garbled. I don't know. Uh, Chances are when you play a game like that, you're not playing it for like this masterpiece of a story. Like it's not going to be Grapes of Wrath type of quality or anything like that. But the combat and the gameplay of Bayonetta is just so over the top and fun that Bayonetta 2 is a no-brainer. I specifically bought a Wii U for that game, and obviously for The Legend of Zelda when it eventually comes out. But Bayonetta 2 spurred my uh, desire to really get a Wii U instead of waiting, and that was. I don't know if I have a game of the year, but that one's damn close. If there is it, I would say if I had to pick a game of the year, it's a toss up for me between The Last of Us Remastered, Bayonetta 2, and Destiny, maybe. And I know people are like, what about Dragon Age and Far Cry? I didn't play them yet. Actually, I haven't played any Far Cry games since the first one. I would like to play Far Cry 3 and 4, but, money. But, this video has gone on long enough. So this is going to be part one in my look back at 2014. Uh, we'll just get into the games and stuff. The next video will be more of the industry side of things that kind of bugged me or that I feel was done or that was good or like good examples of how the community can come together. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here because we're hitting the half hour mark almost. So we'll continue the discussion in the next video. But until then, I would like to thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. And in fact, anybody that happens to watch this video, what games did you like this year, and what games let you down, and what did you look forward to, and um, just your general experiences with the games you played this year? Good, bad, ugly, middle of the road. Just let me know. All right, guys, for real this time, though. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, and we'll see you in the next one.